Hello, everybody, and hello, Lucy. I'm here with Lucy Nicholson from Lucy's on the Plate in Ambleside. I'm really excited. This is probably going to be the best ever lockdown lesson for me personally, because I personally have a lot of stuff in my fridge I probably shouldn't, and vice versa. And I'm not a cook, as people who know me will know. In fact, before this happened, Lucy, I think I've probably eaten out more nights this year than I've eaten in. So it's a big culture change for me. So would you like to just introduce yourself to our lovely audience?
Well, that's not unusual that you would eat out more. Quite often people do, especially those that live on their own. I mean, sometimes I'm guilty of that too. Hello there, everybody. I'm Lucy Nicholson, and I run Lucy's on a Plate and Inside Out Catering, which is an events catering company in Ambleside. I started it 31 years ago, nearly this year, with a small deli. Long before internet, long before Facebook, where really the ethos was a kind of demand and supply. So people would ask me for things like black cardamom pobs and really unusual things that actually now are quite commonplace on the supermarket shelves or on booth shelves or in delis. But in those days were really quite hard to do. And it grew from there, really. I mean, I'm not saying it was easy, because it certainly wasn't, and we had a lot of this and probably more of that than we did of that, but so we've lived through quite a few times, what with foot and mouth and the credit crunch, and now this is probably one of our biggest challenges, because we've never had to actually close before.
Yeah, it is a big challenge, isn't it? And it's also, as well as, of course, being a big challenge for businesses, that they don't have the money coming in, they've had to shut their doors, had to furlough their staff. There's also a lot of people there that, out there like me, who have suddenly had to cook for myself, who have had to think about what supermarket ingredients might be on the shelves, not just what I want. And people who are really trying to feed a family on a reduced income and all those kind of challenges. So this, I think, is a really, really timely lesson for people. And the fact that you've come through all this adversity and you're still here, Lucy, thank goodness, I think that is a lesson in itself. So well done. Congratulations. So we've called the title of this lesson, What's in Your Fridge, which I think is perfect. And some of us very bravely shared a picture of our fridge, but your fridge looks a little bit different at the moment, doesn't it, Lucy?
Well, it does, and I have to say my fridge does not normally look like it is doing now, and the reason that Sam was quite horrified when I did open my fridge before. She said, surely it doesn't really look like that. And I said, well, as a general rule, no, but it does have sort of lots of bits and pieces in. But the reason that my fridge I'll show you in a minute, looks the way that it does, is quite simply because we had to close the restaurant, as you know, over a week ago now, 10 days. And most of what we had, we obviously had ordered everything on the Friday for quite a busy weekend, which it was, Mothering Sunday and everything else. So we had a lot of stuff, and the chefs had made loads of things. But we gave everything away, and we gave to sort of care homes and people who needed it and what have you. But a lot of stuff didn't get given away by the time, because my staff went in. So some of it has ended up back in my fridge. So when I open my fridge door, please do not think this is how I live, because I live on my own. So although I've got 4 daughters and the family are always sort of around at various times, my fridge does not normally look like this. So it's full of a load of random stuff. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what I might get up to with it. But so shall I show you my fridge?
We'd love you to. So while you're walking over, I'll just tell everybody that we're doing this as a live, we're streaming, we're doing it as a demo. So anything could happen here. I know that as Lucy moves, she's a little bit blurred for some of you, but bear with it, because once we've done a little bit of moving around, we're actually going to Lucy's going to stick the phone up and we're going to do a little bit of a demo. But for now, I just want to show you around her kitchen and her fridge.
Well, yeah, first of all, my kitchen is a lived-in kitchen. I live in the centre of Windermere. It's the room that I spend most of my time in. As you can see, it's got all kinds of stuff in it. Oh, okay. My windowsill's got herbs and all sorts on it. In fact, I've got a really nice tip for growing herbs. Anybody who doesn't have much space, you know those pallets that you can get? if you put a pallet on the wall outside, you know, they've got if you put the pallet sort of vertically on the wall, so that if you like, the underside of the pallet is displayed visually, then all those little sort of slats that are in there that sort of are now horizontal, if you line with some black plastic or something and a bit of soil into there, you can just grow loads of little pots of herbs. It's brilliant, and it's really nice, and they do really well against a wall because it's quite sheltered too. So but for the meantime, I've got mine. Yeah, we grow them like that at the restaurant, so it's quite space saving too, but you can get lots and lots of them in. At the moment they're on the windowsill. Right, so yes, so my kitchen is very much my place of, my children go, oh my god, mum, you'll have to tidy the kitchen up with all the junk all over the place. As you can see,
it's
covered with
really to our ears. You have a normal kitchen and a normal, well, semi-normal fridge, so please normal.
Okay, so this is my fridge at the moment. Now this side here is probably how it would look, because it's got things like jams, chutneys, pickles, seasonings and things like that. God knows why I bought that, but I bought that ages ago. It's a lemon gin and tonic sauce. I thought it might be quite useful at some stage. Actually, what I might do with that, do you know what I might do with that, thinking about it? I might put some, not necessarily for me, but if the kids come, well, when the kid, maybe I will do it for me actually, is a little meringue basket, you know, one of those bought ones, just with some raspberries in and this drizzled over the top, maybe a bit of creme fraiche. That's quite nice.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah, well, that's just a dead quick pudding, isn't it, for somebody who just drops by. Sadly, at the moment, they're not dropping by that much. So, and then the bottom part is just, you know, milks. And now I don't eat meat. I stopped eating meat a few months ago. So there is no meat in my fridge. But I'm very happy to tell people how to cook meat or what to do with bits and pieces that they've got left. And this is the rest of my fridge. Can you see?
Oh my goodness.
So I have got some things that I bought for myself, things like the yogurts and what have you. But I've got I've got 3 camemberts.
3?
What am I going to do?
Fridge not a bit smelly? Do you find that camembert makes the fridge go really smelly? No?
No, it's not really smelly. I mean, if it was going to be really, I mean, I could, you know, I've got a bit of an idea what I might do with that, which I'll tell you about afterwards. So at the top, I've got, we had all the cheese that we cut for the cheese board. So I've got like,
oh my goodness,
cheese. I've got some feta, which is marinated in pesto, just a little bits and bats there. Oh, that's just some cooked asparagus. Now, I love asparagus, and asparagus you can use with everything. You can have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's dead easy.
So you would cook it first, and then you would refrigerate it so that you could use it. Yeah. It just cooks quickly. Is that right?
Yeah. So a lot of things are much easier. I mean, a lot about cooking is about being prepared, to be honest, and about having an idea of what you want to do. All these magical things that chefs do, or that people who you see, you know, you think, I mean, when you watch TV programs, they've got them all weighed out in front of them beforehand. So, and weighing out often is what takes the time. So being prepared with certain things is quite good. So if you've got some asparagus and you don't know when you're going to use it, then just, you know, cook it. Yeah. And put it back in the fridge, and then you could use it for frittatas. You could just have it with your scrambled egg in the morning. You could put it onto some puff pastry and make a nice puff pastry tart. Right, let's go back inside. Right, what else have I got? So this is my cheese basket. So I do tend to keep cheeses and things separately. I'm a bit of a sucker for cheese. I do like cheese, and you can do so much with it, which is probably why I couldn't be a vegan, to be honest. I've got some pastry. I'd like to, in some respects, I'd like to be, and I've tried, but eggs, cheese, yogurt, just can't give that up at all.
I'm with you there.
So I've got some pastry here. I've got some phyllo pastry sheets.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take these out. And I've got some regular short crust pastry sheets. These are brilliant things to have in your fridge or freezer, to be honest. Last night, I went for my walk, and I picked sure whether I'm supposed to tell you this, but I picked some wild garlic. The wild garlic around at the moment is glorious. When you've been out on your run, can you smell it?
No, there's some down at Miller Ground, and I did look at it this morning and I thought, should I pick it? And then I thought, I have no clue what I would do with it if I picked it.
It's like,
and I'd probably pick it.
So I've got, let me just flip you around a bit and show you. So this is what I picked last night. Hang on, I'm just going to put it down for a minute, Sam. Not going anywhere. And so all I did was I picked it and took a carrier bag. I smelt it the other day. Oh, sorry. Yes.
All right.
So I'd smelt it when I went for a walk the other day, and I thought, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Can you see that?
Yeah, just keep it really still.
Okay.
I think it's
so
just...
that it looks like that. Don't don't muddle it with the daffodil leaves, whatever you do. All right.
Okay.
But so I cut it and brought it home, and I kept it in the fridge overnight, just with a bit of damp kitchen towel. And what I will do with that, or what I could do with that, is I'll mix some of that. I'll wilt it down, and mix it with some spinach, and with that phyllo pastry.
What does wilting mean?
Okay, so you can either.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you wilt, you kind of shrivel up, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what that does. So you put it into a saucepan, probably with a tiny drop of water and some spinach leaves, pop a lid on, and kind of steaming it really, and just until it reduces right down. And it has quite a lot of liquid in it anyway, so you don't need to put much liquid. And then I'm going to make a Spanakopita. Now that's something you could make, which is really easy. And it's essentially layers of phyllo pastry in a dish or a pan. Please don't get precious about pans. If somebody says use a square pan, if you've only got a round one, use it. It's not necessary to have every piece of equipment. I use one knife. Well, actually, I probably use two knives. And that's it, because I like them and they work, and I don't need to use another knife. But people, get hung up on having all the right equipment. I definitely don't. I use anything I've got to hand, really. So okay, let's go back in. So I've got what else have I got on here? I've got bread. I like that bread. That's like a sourdough. I've got a bit of that's been lurking there. That's a bit of passata. Get that out. Yeah, that'll do. I know what that is. There's some apples which I brought back from work, which may or may not still be okay, but I could turn that into a little crumble or something, which is dead easy. If you haven't got a crumble mix, just put a bit of muesli or something on the top of it, shove it in the oven. You don't need to rub flour and sugar and butter and things together. You can just mix some oats with some, there's some great mueslis and granolas and things around. Just shove that on the top. This is my go-to food. Right, so if all else fails, I decided I was going to try and eat the fridge between now and the end of lockdown, and hopefully not buy too much stuff. And my children said, what happens if you get to sort of, like the fish margin, which means I've got loads of tins of sardines, which nobody likes except for me. I said, I'm going to have crumpets with sardines on the top, because that's really nice, actually. Crumpets are a great base for all sorts of things, whether you put cheese, ham, tomatoes, bung them under the grill, cook the crumpet first and then put your toppings and things on and pop it under the grill. They're delicious lunch, and great if you've got children, because they're easy and quick, and they're tasty, and you can put anything on the top. I sometimes put a bit of cranberry sauce underneath. I've got some in the fridge there, and then cheese and ham, pop it under the grill. Yummy. And that's a bit of okay. So sorry, I didn't mean to move you that quickly, Sam. I did forget to tell you that I do have a treat box here as well. Can you see my treat box? So that's got of course chocolate. Yeah, so but I am quite good. I won't eat the chocolate just because it's there. So if you're not able to do that, I wouldn't advise having it in.
It would not work in my house, no.
My favourite treat are these. These are Medjool Dates. Have you ever had these?
Yeah, I love those. Yeah.
Right. Take the stone out, which is dead easy. Just split the middle and take the stone out. Put a teaspoonful of peanut butter in, and then dip it in melted dark chocolate, and it's like having a vegan Snickers.
Oh my goodness. That's incredible. Okay.
Absolutely delicious. Dead easy to do. I did some at Christmas time as a gift for a friend who I know loves dates. And I just put them into a pretty box, put them in, each one into, I dip them, and then pop them into the fridge to chill on a bit of greaseproof paper, and then put them into like a little, you know, those little paper cases that you use for fairy cakes and things.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And then put a little bit of edible glitter on, and they were lovely. She loved them, and you know, they looked really impressive. So that's nice. Then I've got some more. Oh, I've got a bit of bread there. I think that's probably been, well, I could turn that into either a bread and butter pudding, or again toast it. One of those packs of if you're a sort of, if you think you're always on a diet or what have you, one of those packs of seedy type bread.
Oh, I like those. Yeah, I like that. Rye bread, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is brilliant, but it seems to stay in the fridge forever, that, but anyway. Yeah. Then on the next shelf down, I've got herbs and things in here. Yeah. And yeah, so just herbs and bits and pieces. Now herbs are good if you don't have them in pots. They're good if you just wrap them in a bit of damp kitchen towel.
Right,
just
okay.
Wrap them up and put them back in the fridge. They'll keep quite well like that.
Right.
This is, I love these. These are plums. Now I use these a lot. So all they are those, you know, they're cheap as chips in the shops. And they are delicious, and they're nice when we can get back to going to the farm shops. And all I do is I cut, there's one there that I haven't done. Hang on. Aha. So I just cut it where it's got that sort of natural part in the middle in half, take out the stone, pop it in a pan or in the oven with just some water, sprinkled with some cinnamon or a bit of vanilla, or nothing really. You don't need any sugar. Cover it with the lid, or cover it with the if I've got something in the oven, I'll put them in. Just put them in the bottom of the oven, covered with some silver foil. Leave them there for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and they're just delicious. And then I just pop them into a Kilner jar, and they're great for breakfast and things.
So I use.
Say again.
You don't need any sugar. Is it not too tart?
No. They're quite sweet when they're sort of when they melt. You can put some sugar in, but I tend to use. I don't know whether you've seen. I tend to use like a vanilla paste, which is really nice. You can. It's just a little pot. I'll show you in a minute, and it's really just half a teaspoon in the water. Or you could put some flaked almonds, all sorts of things, just to give it some other types of flavour. Okay. So on that shelf, that is inherited from work, but I will use them. Is sun-dried tomatoes,
right?
And they're useful for. I mean, they've got great flavour, so they're good for pizzas and things. Then I've got yogurt, passion puree, which I think was from the passion fruit mojitos at work. Not quite sure. I do like to keep one of those in the fridge, just an Elmley cream. It's really good as a sort of a standby, because you can whip up anything with. Is
that long life cream, Lucy?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got a bit of mango. I'll take that out. We might use that. Some passion fruits. Passion fruits always look as ugly as hell, but they taste like absolutely gorgeous. As we're a live broadcast, I won't tell you what I think they're like, or what my children always call them. And then obviously I've got wine there, which is very important. Oh, I found these last night. So these are, for anybody who's never made chutney, it is the easiest thing in the world. Sam, I promise you, it is so really easy. You won't. Yep, absolutely. So I thought, well, I've got those green beans. I might take those out too. I'm going to make a bit of chutney and shove it in some jars that I've got. Then on the bottom shelf here, I've got those are aubergines. My mother's marmalade is nearly at the end, which is my favorite. If you ask me what's my favorite meal, I'd say toast and marmalade.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I love toast. A good marmalade there. It can't be rubbish marmalade. It's got to be nice.
And good bread as well. Sourdough I love.
Oh, yeah, well, that's why I like the sourdough, actually. But and then I've always got loads of tomatoes, and I've got loads of I've got a broccoli that's looking like it's going a bit yellowy, so I'll get that used up.
I was going to say, can you actually just binned one of mine before I took my picture of my fridge yesterday? A yellow broccoli. Can they actually be saved?
Yeah, just turn it into some soup or something like that. As long as it's not absolutely smelling, as long as it. I mean, green brassicas do tend to have that kind of a bit of a whiff about them, don't they? But to be honest, Sam, a bit like me, I just think, well, I can eat what I like now because there's nobody around. And then I've got so that's my fridge. And yesterday the other day when you'd asked me, or we were talking about what I was going to do, I thought, I'll just have a look in my cupboard. I had actually, to be fair, a few weeks ago when my daughter, who lives in Dubai, was visiting me, at Christmas time, I decided before she came, because she's a bit of a neat freak and she doesn't like clutter and all the rest of it, so she's always telling me to get rid of stuff. I thought I'd have a tidy up of my cupboards. So I had a tidy up of my cupboards, and I must have had this weird idea that I would put potatoes or something in the cupboard because it was a good idea. So anyway, so I went in the cupboard and I pulled out the potatoes that I must have put went in here. And this is what they look like. Can you see? Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, up a bit. Yeah. Oh, right, okay.
And at first I thought,
what shoots on?
I thought, I know, shoots. They've got more than shoots. They actually, I think, I could probably look. Where are we going now? But you could use those still. I could still use those. And I'll tell you what I did think I might do with that. Do you know what a dauphinoise potato is?
Yes, yeah. You can use those for that, can you? Because it doesn't matter if they're soft.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, do you know what tartiflette is? Do you ski?
I do ski, and I do know what tartiflette is, but tell everybody else.
Okay. So, no, I was just sort of thinking. So I thought, well, I could make like a cross between a tartiflette and a dauphinoise potato. So I could put into a dish just sliced potatoes, and then one of those camemberts, sliced potatoes, onions, some cream, bit of milk, seasoning, and one of those camemberts in the middle, and bake it in the oven. And
you just literally put all that together. You don't have to do the prep first. You can put all that stuff together in an oven dish and stick it in the fridge, in the oven. Sorry.
Yeah, right, okay. I love like that. Now, my absolute favourite way of cooking is like a one pot. I always said if I ever had another restaurant, God forbid, but if I ever did, I would have like the one pot shop, and everything would be one pot, like tagines, hot pot, goulash, dauphinoise, camembert, all that kind of stuff. So so I like things that you can shove in. I've done a few bits and pieces to show everybody really how easy that is.
Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to go into the demo. I'm going to give you a time check, Lucy. We're on 23 minutes.
Well, I'm not going to actually cook anything because I think it's probably, I'm going to stick you onto the wall now. Is that all right? Are you there?
Stick me onto the wall. Best place for me.
I hope I don't fall off like you did this morning. But
I did.
You have to wash those sticky things.
No, it's not for me now.
Well, it was funny actually because I was doing a little thanks to you. And you giving me the push, which is one of my sort of tips really, is jump before you're pushed by Sam Ashdown. And that is, I decided I would have a little practice the other day, and I was making just simple scrambled egg because I was doing some demos for somebody and I was showing, doing something. And it fell in my scrambled egg, so I decided thank God I was making soup. So first of all, equipment. One of my top tips is don't worry about fancy equipment. One of the best things I have that I love is this. It's a Joseph. Do you know what that is?
No.
If I opened it up, does that give you a clue?
Is it weighing scales or something?
It certainly is.
Wow.
So that's how big it is. and you can just keep, it's a digital scale, so I can just pop it down. I can do it in pounds or kilos, and every time I put, and it weighs up to quite heavy, I can put a pan on, zero it, weigh in 25 grams or something, or 4 ounces or 2 ounces, zero it again, add another 4 ounces or whatever it is. They are brilliant. It's the best thing, and of course it just shuts up and goes into my drawer.
Amazing.
So don't have to have,
you can kind of link for it and pop it in the comments. By Joseph.
Yeah, it's a Joseph one. I love it. They're about 15 quid, something like that.
Brilliant.
But judging by Amazon's delivery scales at the moment, you probably won't get it till about May. So the other thing I love are knives. I do like knives, but you end up using one. Do you find you use one, just one knife?
Also, mine are never sharp.
I like this.
I replace them before I sharpen them.
I know. And you're not alone in that. I probably would do too if I did, but you can just get a sharpener. I mean, you should really sharpen them every day or every other day. Chefs are always sharpening their knives. But every day. People sharpen at Christmas. Most people, my dad used to sharpen it at Christmas only. God, what knows what he did with the roast. Anyway, yeah. So, but some of these little knives, this little chap here, I've had for years, and I don't think I've ever sharpened it. Just keeps going. I don't know what it is. I think I bought it from Musgraves, actually. A Nogent t-shirt. It's a French one. And this one here is one of my trusted Henkel knives, which I love. And it's a serrated one, and it would certainly hurt if you chop your finger. But that does not need to be sharpened.
I was going to ask you, what do you do about serrated knives? Because obviously you can't sharpen them, can you?
No, you shouldn't need to, really. I mean, I've got a serrated knife here that I've had. Wait a minute, where is it? This one. I bought this at one of those, one of those when you go to not trade shows, when you go to things like the Good Food Show or some show, foodie show. And it was called the World's Sharpest Knife. So I thought, well, that's a load of tosh to start with. But in reality, I've had that since before I was divorced. In fact, it was one of the things I took with me. So that's 12 years. So, and that keeps going, and it does everything really. It's it's been.
I'm sure there's about a knife and divorce, but I can't think of it just now. But I will.
Well, let's not do it on air, shall we? Right. So that's my knives. The other thing that I love is this little. This is a Quizzy Pro. This chap here. This is a grater. Now this does everything. You can get different types of holes and things, whatever they call, grating strengths. But I like this one. It's kind of midway through. It'll zest lemons. I can grate cheese, parmesan, everything else on it. It's out on the side. It's not a bulky, big piece of equipment. I can get it out at any time, and it's great. Nutmeg, anything, that you're going to be using. Now, you see, you could use a bit of nutmeg on those plums. That would be good. A good wooden spoon, that's always useful. And now, this is my salvation. You don't use this. Greaseproof paper.
Oh, right.
Greaseproof baking paper. I use it to line everything. If I'm making a lasagna, I put it in the bottom of the dish. How many times do you scrub a burnt lasagna dish?
You put lasagna on top of the greaseproof paper when you cook it?
Yeah. So this dish here, I've just shoved a bit in here. This is a big roasting tin, because I was going to do like a tagine. This is one of my all-in-one jobbies. So I just shove everything in that, cover it with some silver foil or not, depending on what I'm going to do. And then when you've cooked it, it's just underneath. You can then just serve it out, and then you just pull the paper out, and your dish is not filthy dirty or horrible bits stuck to the bottom.
Genius. I didn't know you could do that. My greaseproof paper has probably been the same roll for about 5 years, I would say. I've never used it for anything like that. I didn't even know what it was for, really.
No, honestly, I put it underneath everything, whether it's savory, sweet, something that I'm putting in the fridge that I don't want to stick, all that, anything really. And it's great for wrapping. I mean, I think when we were kids, my mum used to wrap sandwiches in it and all that kind of stuff.
I remember that.
And round.
And the other thing you mentioned, Lucy, you mentioned the tagine, like one pot. That, I presume, is good for leftovers from the fridge because you've got aubergines, I saw, and then what else would you put in a tagine, just loosely?
Well, you could put anything in. So a traditional one is aubergines, courgettes, tomatoes. You could put butternut squash, sweet potato. I mean, obviously you can put lamb, chicken, all the rest of it. But I was going to do one today using parsnips, sweet potato, shallots, and tomatoes, and then it would have stock in. And this is the magic. Oh, so this is what I'd got out in good Blue Peter style, is just to show you. So in here I've got sweet potato. Let me take this off. Oh, this is another great thing. Let's save these are from Lakeland and they're great. They actually, I'm sure I could use it as a bath hat as well, but anyway, they can, well, you could, if all else fails, and if you see me walking around Windermere, you'll know I've completely lost the plot. So, they come in different sizes, but they're great instead of using cling film. So, okay, so in here I've got sweet potato, parsnips, a little spring onion, which I found lurking in the bottom of the fridge, and a couple of shallots. I've got some ginger. I have actually got some fresh ginger, but these are brilliant. Never be afraid to use stuff. I'm all for shortcuts. Don't make it laborious unless you've got bags of time, which of course we do have at the moment. And then this is that's the stuff you need, but that's a tagine powder, really. So that's got all the spice and herbs. You could put everything in, your allspice, cinnamon, nutmeg, etc., ginger, cayenne.
What's the word on it? I can't just read it. What's it say?
And it's called Ras El Hanu. It's Turkish.
Okay, and that is a tagine spice mix.
Yeah, I use it for loads of things. So what I would do with that is I would put, and be careful because it's quite hot. So you have to know how hot. Well, I say how hot. I'd probably put a teaspoon into a big dish. So let me see. Another wonderful Joseph thing. Nice big dish like. Oh no, this is a Zach actually. This is Joseph. It's got a chip in. So I'd put a teaspoon of that powder together with a good dollop of olive oil and stir it, and that's my marinade. Now a marinade is when you put things in to give them flavor, and you can do a marinade for a few minutes or overnight, anything else really. Marinade is good for lentils too.
Is it?
Yeah, you can spice it. You can spice anything really. I'm going to tell you about what to do with your lentils.
Thank you. The longer you leave that, then the stronger the flavour is. Is that right? But you keep the marinade in there.
Yeah, it can be. But so with that, I would just put that marinade in there and then toss my vegetables into it. So chop them up, peel them. I think the easiest thing to use is a potato peeler for most things. If you're doing a little tip, actually, which is quite good, if you have one of these chaps, which is a butternut squash.
I can never cut those.
Well, exactly. So, I don't know whether you can see me. Can you see me if I go here?
Yeah, explain what you're doing as well, because you're quite small. But
Right, so what I would do with that is I would probably take a slightly bigger knife, okay, just because it's a bit of a big chap. So I cut the end off, okay, and then this is where the clever bit comes. And when I saw my friend doing it, I thought, what is she doing? Because I would normally use the potato peeler to do it. Anyway, she cut it all in rings like this.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when she'd cut it all in rings, she literally just got a little sharp knife like this and then just peeled around the ring. How bloody simple.
So much easier.
How simple is that?
That is so
that was it. I've literally got it. So that's my bit of butternut squash peeled. And it's so much easier than trying to peel the whole thing. It's a bit like eating an apple.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip. I really like that.
Okay. So yes, so I would put all my vegetables into there, then I'd put it into my pan. Now with anything one pot, try and make sure that you've got a big enough pan, a big enough dish to do it in if you're doing it for a family of 4 or what have you. Now, I'm going to cook a lot of things today, but I'm going to, if anybody wants something, let me know. I subscribe to an app called Olio, which I don't know whether you know, which saves wastage.
I'll write it down.
It's about giving.
Is it OLE?
Giving food away. OLIO.
OLIO. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I'll link to that as well.
Yeah, don't waste it, share it. So you can share food, clothes, books, everything. I suppose it's a bit like, my daughter says it's a bit like eBay, but it's not, you don't have to pay anything, it's free.
There's another one, isn't there? Okay. Free cycle for non-food items is the other one.
Yes, there is but this one is particularly for food. So it's also quite good for restaurants and things as well, if they have stuff left over at the end. It hasn't taken off in a big way up here, but it's massive in some of the cities, at the end of the night. If you're out in Manchester and you want to find somewhere that will give you a curry or what have you, just go on the app. They'll be giving it away at about midnight.
That's a great tip. We're allowed to go back out again.
When we all go out again, exactly. So I will put all the vegetables, everything into there, tin of tomatoes, whack it in the oven and leave it there for about an hour and then take it out. It'll be delicious. Now it'll be delicious the next day, better the next day. But I like anything that I do ratatouille in the oven. So I slice my courgettes quite thinly, courgettes, aubergine, onion, tomatoes into the dish with some vegetable stock, garlic, bit of seasoning. And then after about half an hour of that cooking, I'll take it out and put like a breadcrumb. I noticed I've got some breadcrumbs in there as well. Just some breadcrumbs. I mean, any bread you have left, whack it in if you've got a mixer, a food processor thing, or a whiz thing, just whack it in there and make some breadcrumbs with your last bits of crust. I mean, in this day and in this times, these challenging times, I think we have to be aware we've got to use everything, everything but squeak, they used to say, or everything but the tail and the squeak on a pig, it used to be, and, so my feelings about cooking and food is very much that it shouldn't be a chore. Now, I used to find it a chore sometimes when, I've got 4 daughters. They all like different things. One was a vegetarian. One wouldn't eat a green if it knocked her out. They were all different. My sister had the right idea. She used to feed she had 5 children, and she fed them all the same. If they didn't eat it, they went hungry. I couldn't quite do that. And so I think that, the important thing is to actually plan a little bit if you can. Be creative. Don't be afraid to fail. It doesn't matter if people love food. If somebody said to me, "Oh, I don't want to invite you to dinner because I don't know what to cook you," give me beans on toast. If somebody has made it for me, it is the best thing ever. That somebody makes something for you. Get other people involved. Get the kids involved. I don't know whether anybody's been watching Buddy Oliver. Have you seen him? He's just great.
Is that Jamie Oliver's son? Oh, is it?
Yeah, just adorable. And if he can't get your kids cooking, and there's one called Jem's Whole Food Kitchen, and she's got her daughter cooking away, and and Buddy's 8, and he's chopping things and using a knife responsibly and carefully. I know his dad's a chef, but actually we can all teach our children things, can't we? And I think food is a wonderful way of sharing that experience with our children, with our grandchildren. You know, people are always making Play-Doh. If you're making Play-Doh, why not make pasta? Why not make bread? If you can get yeast, that is. Or make soda bread, bicarb of soda, and, you know, some flour, bicarb of soda, a few seasoning herbs and water and milk, and you're away. So
you want to just quickly give, if you remember, a Play-Doh recipe. What I know people can just Google it, but what's in it basically? Then people can just see if they've got it in their cupboards.
Salt, cream of tartar, flour. No, I don't think it's got flour in, has it? I can't. To be fair, my daughter makes it all the time. And colouring. I think it's salt, oil. I know it's got cream of tartar in it and something. I'll put a recipe up if anybody wants it.
That would be great, yeah, because a lot of people can make that. And people that thought that Play-Doh came in little pots, you know, and they've run out of it or it's gone dry, this is the time where they can just make. My mum used to make big batches of it. She used to make like a blue one and a green one and a red one, and then I used to mix it all up together anyway. So, but you know, at the moment, and my son, Paddy, when he was little, used to make roads out of it. He used to put flour on, pretend to be snow, and put little, you know, car parks on it and stuff, and roads. He absolutely loved it. So yeah, put your plastic sheet out on your table and get some Play-Doh.
Just get a black bin bag, a plastic bin bag, stick it on the table, or go and dig out your Christmas tablecloth or what have you, and do the same with making pasta. If you haven't got a pasta machine, it doesn't matter. Use a rolling pin, but you know, it's effectively. I mean, you don't have to use an egg, but you know, flour, egg. And you know, and get it, you know, get them all working it. And even if it's like jam tart, when we were kids, we didn't have Play-Doh, we made jam tarts. I think they were always grey by the end of it. But I think, you know, all those definitely getting together, getting your kids to do things. If you've got children who are 8 upwards, task them with making a meal, you know, one day a week, making a meal. You know, we used to do that with our children when they were younger, and each day one of them would make a meal. And then Lucy 4, which was my wine bar bistro, was sort of created out of fridge tappers years and years ago, 20 odd years back in 1999 when I opened Lucy 4. Nobody knew what tappers were. We had to call it sociable sharing food. But it was really my fridge tappers from when the children were little. So on a Thursday night, we didn't have a lot of money. And so I used to make everything last. And so at the end of the week, on a Thursday night, before I could go shopping on the Friday, or before Brian came home with the pay packet or what have you, I used to get out of the fridge every little bit, like I've got in my fridge now, but all those little itty bits and pieces, and put them out on the table. And maybe bolt them up with a bit of pasta or stick some salad in. Or, I mean, I was very creative. I used to stick a tin of tomatoes in something, you know, and put some cheese on the top. And they love that. They called it the mix and match suppers, and they still, with their own children, do that now. And that's kind of what we called it, fridge tappers.
That's brilliant. We used to do tonight, where we used to get those pre-made pizza bases. I know you can make them really easily, but we used to buy them.
No, they don't.
Put everything out, and then people can just make their own pizzas. DIY pizza nights.
Well, I'll tell you a little trick as well. If I'll show you. Oh, have I got it somewhere? Yeah. Right. So when my children were little, their favourite place was Devon. We used to go to Devon we didn't go abroad or anything like that. They used to call it heaven. And Brian used to hike us to all these beaches. God, you know, they were miles long, and I had to take a picnic that lasted the whole day. So we'd have like a breakfast picnic, a lunch picnic, or what have you. So I'd cook sausages and make little frittatas, all sorts of things to take. But they loved scones with jam and cream. You can't take 6 scones down; they'd be like crumbs by the time you finish. My daughter, my Mother's Day card. This is what she gave me, and she made it. She's an artist. She's very good. And I used to take a packet of these, a jar of jam, and a tub of Cornish clotted cream. And and they love them. And you could get a lot out of that. So I just put the jam and the cream on top of a digestive biscuit, and they were the digestive cream teas. You know,
I absolutely love those. They're brilliant. That seems like a good point to wrap up on, if that's all right, Lucy.
Of course it is.
So
I've given you enough tips.
You've given us amazing tips. So you've told us, really, from what I've heard, is, you know, you don't have to have fancy equipment. You know, don't be afraid to fail. Dive in with the kids, get messy, try making things like pasta and things that you think come off a packet in the shelf, which is what I think, you know, things like bread. You know, so don't be afraid to fail and do experiment, because now's a really good time to do it and actually enjoy that time with the family and be creative. Yeah, you've got time. That's right. And you're thrown together. Now's a good time. And actually, you might not have very many pennies. So now's the time to go to the back of the cupboard and try and find things that, you know, you haven't used before. So
absolutely.
They've all been brilliant.
Make cannelloni out of pancakes, you know. So I've got a packet of oat cakes in there, which I think are £1 at Booths. Make them, roll them up and fill them with, you know, what you would normally put, you know, cannelloni in.
Oh, brilliant. So you're actually making me really hungry, so I'm off to find something for lunch now. But that has been absolutely fantastic. And Lucy did say very kindly she will answer anybody's questions or share a recipe, or if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask her directly, she doesn't mind jumping on a call with you. So that's really kind of you to do that. And you can contact her either, you know, personally on Facebook or through the page to organise that. But Lucy, this has been our most practical session yet, and probably my favourite. So just a couple of things I wanted to read out. So Anne says hi. Mark Jason McAdam said, hi Lucy, I did a Christmas cookery show with you a few years ago, and what fabulous fun it was. You were the perfect host. So isn't that lovely? Lucy said, Alison McGee Barker says she's just joined us now, but she's going to watch back on replay because she's got 2 kids at home. Lots of people have, and now's the time to be watching this kind of stuff and taking inspiration from it. So you've been an absolute pleasure to have on this show. So thank you very much for your lockdown lesson, and we'll see you very soon, I hope.
I'm sure you will. Take care. Bye, everybody. Thank you.